He said it. He calls those who oppose him vermin. He talks about the blood of America as being poisoned, echoing the same exact language used in Nazi Germany. He proudly posts on social media the words that best describe his 2024 campaign, quote, revenge, quote, power, and quote, dictatorship. There's no confusion about who Trump is, what he intends to do.
Skibidi Biden, skibidi Biden, skibidi Biden, Joe, skibidi Biden. Hitler's language, Trump is using Hitler's language. Trump is using Hitler's language. Skibidi.
He went on to say he'd be a dictator on day one. I mean, if I were writing a book of fiction, I said an American president said that, and not in jest.
I want to go back to this one issue, though, because the media has been focused on this and attacking you.
Yeah.
Under no circumstances, you are promising America tonight you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
what?
he's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border and I want to drill.
That's not retribution. I'm
gonna be, you know, he keeps, we love this guy. He says, you're not gonna be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one. We're closing the border and we're drilling. After that, I'm not a dictator,
so that sounds to me like you're going back to the policies when you were president.
I said, Sean, I'm gonna be a dictator for one day, for drilling and for closing the border.
What, in your view, constitutes the primary threat to freedom and democracy at home?
Donald Trump. Seriously. Donald Trump uses phrases like, we're going to eviscerate the Constitution, he's going to be a dictator on day one. He says I'm going to be a dictator on day one. No one doesn't believe him. And as mentioned already, he promised to be a dictator on day one, his own words. And he called for, he means it. And he calls for another bloodbath when he loses again. Look.
He's using this. This is just a political ploy. Trump is a dictator. He wants to be a dictator. You know, it's interesting. I did a show, Sean Hannity. Did you ever hear of him? He's a very nice man. And he said, essentially, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? Tell me. I think he was trying to give me a nicer question that maybe you guys would. He meant it very well. I said, I'm going to be a dictator for one day. We're going to do two things. The border, we're going to make it so tight you can't get in unless you come in legally. And the other is energy. We're going to drill, baby, drill. After that, I'm not going to be a dictator. After that, I'm not going to be a dictator. So
you weren't saying that if the
and the press picks it up. So I said, I'm going to be a dictator for one day. They cut it. They go, I'm going to be a dictator. But they cut the rest of the sentence. No. I am not going to be a dictator. He said, listen, you don't want to be a dictator or anything, do you? I said, Sean, I only want to be a dictator for one day. And I'm going to be a dictator, Sean, for one day. And I'm going to close up the border and I'm going to drill, baby, drill. And after that, I'm not going to become a dictator. Right? So here's what the fake news does. It's so horrible. So I said, I want to be a dictator for one day. And then if you go on just like 10 seconds, it says the two things, right? We're going to have a great border. We're going to drill, baby, drill, those two things. We're going to have energy. We're going to make so much money. We're not going to have to worry about your Social Security. So I said those two things. I said, I'm going to be a dictator. And they cut it. So all over television said, Donald Trump wants to be a dictator. Listen to it. I'm going to be a dictator, cut. Now that's really, and it said for one day, and I did also finish and said, and then after that, I'm not going to be a dictator ever again. So we were having fun, and they've got me saying, I want to be a dictator. These are sick people, I'm telling you. We have to straighten out our free press. And the new disinformation is that I'm a dictator. And the press, of course, as you know, is really bad. I was doing like a town hall with Sean Hannity a couple of weeks ago. And he said, so you're not a dictator, are you? He said, and you won't be. I said, Sean, I will be a dictator for one day. We're going to close up the border and we're going to drill, baby, drill. And after that, I will never be a dictator, okay? So remember the words. Those were the words. I will be a dictator for one day. I was kidding, you know, being a little sarcastic. I will be a dictator for one day. And the day was we're going to close up the border and we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to become energy independent very quickly. I mean, now we're buying energy from Venezuela, from Iran. We're buying it from Iran. You believe that? But we're buying energy. So I said those two things. But I started the sentence, I will be a dictator for one day. And after that, I won't be a dictator ever again. And so they take my statement and it says, I will be a dictator for, boom, cut. So they cut it. They cut everything out. So they have me say, I will be a dictator. And then they go on the news, the fake news. I don't know who he's from, but the fake news. And they say, Donald Trump has admitted he wants to be a dictator. These people are sick. They cut everything out. So they have me say, I will be a dictator. And then they go on the news, the fake news. I don't know who he's from, but the fake news. And they say, Donald Trump has admitted he wants to be a dictator. These people are sick. And the media is so corrupt and they're so bad. Think of it. And they do that all the time.
You can go down the list. He's going to be a dictator from day one. He's going to terminate the Constitution. On and on. They've heard all of this. They heard what he said to Time magazine a couple of days ago. It is a dark, autocratic vision of America. That this is not just a threat to democracy, but this is a threat to capitalism.